Fellow seekers of wisdom, welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the ancient philosophies that can transform our modern lives. Today, we're tackling a topic that's as old as humanity itself, yet as relevant as your latest Instagram story, how to read people without them knowing. Now, before we dive in, I want you to imagine this scenario. You're at a party, surrounded by people you barely know. The room is buzzing with conversation, laughter, and the clink of glasses. But as you look around, you start to notice something. The guy in the corner, arms crossed, keeps glancing at his watch. The woman by the window is smiling, but her eyes tell a different story. And your friend who brought you here? They're laughing a little too loudly at everyone's jokes. What if I told you that you could unlock the secrets behind these behaviors? What if you could peek behind the curtain of social interactions and truly understand what's going on in people's minds? This, my friends, is where the ancient wisdom of Stoicism comes in. You might be thinking, wait, isn't Stoicism about controlling your own emotions? What does it have to do with reading others? And that's exactly the kind of question that tells me you're ready for this journey. Today, we're going to explore 9 principles of Stoicism that will give you the tools to become a master observer of human nature. But here's the kicker, we're not doing this to manipulate or exploit others. No, the Stoic way is about understanding, empathy, and using this knowledge to navigate the world more effectively and compassionately. Before we dive into these principles, I want you to do something for me. If you're ready to embark on this journey of understanding human nature through the lens of Stoicism, type this phrase in the comments, Ataraxia awaits. This beautiful Greek word, meaning a state of serene calmness, perfectly captures the spirit of our discussion today. It's what we're all striving for, isn't it? That ability to remain calm and clear-headed no matter what social situation we find ourselves in. All right, let's dive into our first Stoic principle for reading people. Lesson 1. The discipline of perception. The first principle we need to master is the discipline of perception. This is all about seeing things as they truly are, without the distortions of our own biases or emotions. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully when he said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." So, how does this apply to reading people? Well, when we interact with others, we often project our own fears, desires, and expectations onto them. We see what we want to see, or what we're afraid of seeing. But to truly read someone, we need to set aside our own emotional baggage and observe with a clear mind. Here's a practical tip. The next time you're in a conversation, try to notice when you're making assumptions about the other person's thoughts or motivations. Catch yourself in the act of projecting, and then consciously set those assumptions aside. Instead, focus on what you can actually observe: their tone of voice, body language, and the words they choose. Remember, true perception isn't about jumping to conclusions. It's about gathering information with an open mind. Lesson 2. The art of detachment. Our second Stoic principle for reading people is the art of detachment. This doesn't mean being cold or uncaring. Instead, it's about maintaining emotional distance so that we can observe more clearly. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When it comes to reading people, this principle is crucial. If we get too emotionally invested in an interaction, we lose our ability to observe objectively. Our own feelings cloud our judgment. So, how do we practice detachment? Start by reminding yourself that other people's actions and words are not about you. They're a reflection of their own internal state, their own struggles and desires. For example, if someone is being rude to you, instead of getting offended, try to detach and observe. What might be causing this behavior? Are they stressed, insecure? By detaching, you not only protect your own emotional state, but you also gain valuable insights into the other person's mindset. Lesson 3. The power of silence. Our third principle is one that might seem counterintuitive when it comes to social interactions, but it's incredibly powerful. I'm talking about the power of silence. The Stoic philosopher Zeno of Citium once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say." In our fast-paced, social media-driven world, we often feel the need to fill every silence with words. But when it comes to reading people, silence can be your greatest tool. When you're silent, you create space for others to reveal themselves. You observe more, you listen more deeply, and you pick up on subtle cues that you might miss if you were busy thinking about what to say next. Here's a challenge for you. In your next conversation, try to speak 30% less than you usually would. Use that extra time to really observe the other person. Notice their facial expressions, their tone of voice, the words they choose, and even what they're not saying. You'll be amazed at how much more you can learn about someone when you're not busy trying to formulate your next response. Lesson 4. The principle of cause and effect. Our fourth Stoic principle for reading people is understanding the law of cause and effect. This principle teaches us that every action has a reason behind it, even if that reason isn't immediately obvious. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Every man's character shapes his fortune." When we apply this principle to reading people, we start to look beyond surface-level behaviors and try to understand the underlying causes. For example, if someone is constantly bragging about their achievements, the effect is clear they come across as arrogant. But what's the cause? It could be deep-seated insecurity, a need for validation, or maybe they grew up in an environment where they had to constantly prove their worth. By looking for these cause and effect relationships, we can develop a much deeper understanding of people's motivations and behaviors. Here's a practical way to apply this principle. The next time someone's behavior puzzles or frustrates you, ask yourself what could be causing this. Try to come up with at least 3 possible reasons. This exercise will help you develop a more nuanced understanding of human behavior. Lesson 5. The practice of empathy. Our 5th principle is one that lies at the heart of both Stoicism and the art of reading people: the practice of empathy. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" Empathy is about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, trying to understand their perspective and feelings. When we approach interactions with empathy, we open ourselves up to a much deeper understanding of others. But here's the key. True empathy isn't just about imagining how you would feel in someone else's situation. It's about trying to understand how they feel, given their unique experiences and perspective. To practice this, try this exercise. The next time you're observing someone, imagine their life story. What experiences might have shaped them? What challenges might they be facing that you can't see? By cultivating this kind of empathetic imagination, you'll become much more adept at reading people's true emotions and motivations. Lesson 6. The Stoic Mirror. Our sixth principle is what I like to call the Stoic Mirror. This is based on the Stoic idea that other people can serve as mirrors, reflecting back aspects of ourselves that we might not otherwise see. Epictetus said, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." When it comes to reading people, this principle reminds us that our reactions to others often say more about us than they do about them. If we find ourselves consistently annoyed by a certain type of behavior, it might be highlighting an insecurity or unresolved issue within ourselves. Here's how to use the Stoic Mirror. Pay attention to your emotional reactions when interacting with others. When you feel a strong reaction, pause and ask yourself, what does this reaction tell me about myself? This self-reflection can provide valuable insights not only about yourself, but also about the dynamics at play in your interactions. Lesson 7. The Virtue of Justice. Our seventh principle draws on the Stoic virtue of justice. In Stoic philosophy, justice isn't just about laws and punishment. It's about fairness, understanding, and giving people their due. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." When we apply this principle to reading people, it reminds us to approach others with an open mind without rushing to judgment. It's about recognizing that everyone is fighting their own battles, dealing with their own struggles that we can't see. To practice this, try approaching each interaction with the assumption that the other person is doing the best they can with the resources they have. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it does mean trying to understand where it's coming from. By cultivating this sense of justice and fairness in our observations, we can develop a more accurate and compassionate understanding of others. Lesson 8. The Principle of Impermanence. Our eighth Stoic principle for reading people is understanding impermanence. The Stoics believed in the constant flux of the universe, that everything is always changing. Heraclitus, who heavily influenced Stoic thought, famously said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man." When we apply this principle to reading people, it reminds us that people are not static. Their moods, opinions, and behaviors can change from moment to moment, influenced by countless factors. This principle teaches us to be cautious about making fixed judgments about people based on single interactions. Instead, it encourages us to see people as dynamic and ever-changing. To practice this, try observing the same person in different contexts. Notice how they might behave differently at work versus with friends, or in the morning versus the evening. This will help you develop a more nuanced and accurate read on people. Lesson 9. The Art of Self-Mastery. Our final principle brings us full circle back to ourselves. The art of self-mastery is about developing control over our own thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When it comes to reading people, self-mastery is crucial. The more aware and in control we are of our own biases, emotional reactions, and thought patterns, the more clearly we can perceive others. This principle reminds us that the ultimate goal of reading people isn't to control or manipulate them, but to understand them better and to navigate our social world more effectively and compassionately. To practice self-mastery, start by keeping a journal of your observations and reactions in social situations. Notice patterns in your own behavior and emotional responses. The more you understand yourself, the better equipped you'll be to understand others. And there you have it. Friends, 9 Stoic principles to help you read people without them knowing. Remember, this isn't about gaining power over others. It's about developing wisdom, understanding, and compassion. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final quote from Marcus Aurelius. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In the end, the Stoics would remind us that the most important person to read and understand is yourself. By developing self-awareness and practicing these principles, you'll not only become better at understanding others, but you'll also become a better, wiser version of yourself. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And remember, drop Ataraxia awaits in the comments if you're ready to embark on this journey of understanding human nature through Stoicism. Until next time, stay curious, stay observant, and keep seeking that Stoic wisdom. Peace out.